Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about the danmei books that I've read, giving you guys some recommendations, but I also wanted to give you guys a list of danmei books that I want to read, and hopefully I will read some of them by the end of this year because there are so many that I want to read. But I separated the books that I'm recommending into different categories. So the first one is wuxia books. If you are getting into the danmei world, you have probably heard of these books, but I will always recommend 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻's books because there is a reason why her books are so popular, and the way that she writes her worlds, her characters, the romance, it's so good, especially because she has 3 different books and each individual one of them have their own story. I would recommend reading the 𝐦𝐮𝐸𝐬𝐻 system first because it is the shortest out of all of them. So it's really easy to read compared to the other ones where the plots are more, I would say, confusing in a way. 𝐦𝐻𝐻𝐻 system is just very simple, and I think it's a perfect mixture of like comedy and action. We have the main character who reads this novel which he keeps hating on, and in the real world he passes away, I think by choking on a dumpling. That could be completely wrong, but he then wakes up in the body of the villain of the story that he hates, and the whole plot is him trying to change the direction of the main character of that story that he's entering. Like I said, it's a perfect mixture of comedy. I really like our main character 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻 and just like his inner monologue. His inner monologue is so funny because it's a perfect representation of what it would be like to kind of be in another world, especially in a story that you don't like and as a villain. When it comes to the romance, I will admit it's a little bit iffy. I do like it, but it's very much obsessive love, one-sided obsessive love. There's this whole like master disciple kind of thing, which tends to happen a lot in danmei books. But some self-saving system is a good introduction, and then we have grandmaster of demonic cultivation, which I would say prepare your tissues for this, okay? Because the world building and just like the angst surrounding the background of the characters, prepare your tissues, man, because the whole time I was reading it I got upset because the whole thing is what ifs. What if this didn't happen? And it made me so upset and angry while reading it. In terms of the romance, we also have this one-sided unrequited love and the whole like grumpy sunshine character. We have Wei Wuxian, who is always very cheerful, playful, and Lan Wenji, who's the complete opposite because he's more cold and more studious and very disciplined. And to explain this book in a short way, Wei Wuxian was a demon practitioner, and he wakes up in somebody else's body, and there's this whole thing that gets uncovered, and it's really sad to read, but it's also really good. The plot is just so intriguing and it's so good. The next is one of my favorites, which is Heaven's Official Blessing. I have all the volumes, but I'm not going to pull all of them out because they're quite heavy. And it is my favorite, not out of all of them because I like all of them, but I like Heaven's Official Blessing a lot because I think that this was the book that introduced me to the danmei world in general, because I watched the donghua and then that's how I got introduced into this whole world and 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻's books and everything. So this is a very special one. I would say that this one is a little bit more difficult to read because it's so long, and it's about Shilan, who is a main character. He is a god, but then he gets sent back onto Earth. And then we have Hua Chen, who is a ghost, and he is a ghost king. Again, prepare your tissues because I think this starts off really nice, you know, but then all of a sudden you get like hit with this whole other plot, and we also get the background stories of these characters, and it's honestly also really devastating to read. There are some parts of it where you will cry, and there are other parts of it where it's like kind of chill, but then as I mentioned before, you'll get hit out of nowhere. I also just really love the covers of these books, and I love having images in these books, which is why I really like danmei books because they always include images, and I love having art in books. Okay, I was going to show you guys a picture, but this is not really a nice picture. I will show it to you guys, but it's not really a nice picture. But the romance is so good. Overall with the story, I would say it's very like angsty, very slow burn, but it is so good. If you do want to get introduced into the book but it's a little bit hard to, I guess, kind of read it, you can always watch the donghua because I think all of them have their own individual like show. So if you don't really want to read the danmei, you can just watch the donhuas instead. Next we have the Husky and his White Cat season. I only read up to volume 3, so I haven't read the whole entire book because it's not all officially translated, and I want to read it when it's all completed because look, I read up to volume 3 and I was already devastated. I was already over it. We have Moran, who is kind of like a tyrant in his past life, and he then wakes up in the past when he was 16 years old or something, and his goal is to, I guess, change the future that he was in. I would say check the trigger warnings because stuff does happen, which is a little bit hard to read, but this book I would also say is pretty angsty, pretty sad, which is why I don't want to read it until it's all officially translated. Thousand Autumns is a danmei book that I read recently, and it's about 𝐛𝐨𝐬𝐤𝐢𝐬, who basically gets thrown off a cliff, or he falls off a cliff. He wakes up blind with his bones broken. He almost dies. I don't know how he still survived. 𝐛𝐨𝐬𝐤𝐢𝐬 is basically the definition of, I guess, the goodness in the world. He is always kind and gentle to everyone. He still upholds justice though. He will kill people if they do wrong stuff, which I love 𝐛𝐨𝐬𝐤𝐢𝐬. But then we have Yan Wushu, who is kind of the opposite of 𝐛𝐨𝐬𝐤𝐢𝐬. He is from the demon sect. He's more, I guess, selfish and egotistical. They obviously cross paths and everything. My opinion on this book, as I've read it recently, is that it is somewhat repetitive. There is no defined plot, and a majority of the book is just them fighting with people, and the romance as well. It is very slow burn, but so slow burn to the point where you don't even know where it starts because the transition is not the greatest, but I still did really enjoy it. And I don't really know if 𝐸 the Ballad of Sword and Wine is considered a wuxia novel. I'm not really sure, but I'm just gonna add it onto this list. This one is also one of my favorites. It's very political, and we have Shen Jichuan and Xiao Shiye. Shen Jichuan is like really smart. He's basically the strategist, and Xiao Shiye is kind of like the physically strong one, I guess, the muscle. And we have this whole enemies to lovers kind of situation, because literally when they first meet, Xiao Shiye kicks Shen Jichuan in the chest trying to kill him, and then later on when he falls in love with him, he's kind of like, no, why did I do that? They are also in the same situation, and because of that they are the only ones who understand each other, which creates obviously a bond with each other. And I love this book so much. It's just so satisfying to see how everything unravels and how the politics work. Now we're going to go through all the modern books that I've read. None of these are officially translated, but we have Bite Your Fingertips. This one is a little bit weird. We have our main character who gets hungry one day. He is hungry, but he doesn't have the appetite to eat food, and then one day he smells the blood of the male lead, and it turns out he's a vampire, and he drinks the blood of the male lead, and the male lead is completely fine with that. So that's the whole plot. It spans also from high school. I don't know if it goes to college as well, but it was kind of weird because there was no explanation of his background story and how he became a vampire. He just is. And then there's also this whole mystery plot as well. Lovely Allergen and Fan Service Paradox is written by the same author. So Lovely Allergen, stay with me here. It's about our MC whose parents passed away when he was really young. So his parents' best friend takes him in, and he grows up with the male lead. So they grow up with each other. They're obviously not blood related, but I know some people kind of find plots like that weird, but this spans from high school to college, and I think it's really cute. We then have Fan Service Paradox, which is a kind of C-pop book. Our two main characters don't really interact with each other in the group, and they don't really like each other, but then they start getting shipped by their fans, and because of that they're kind of forced to pretend like they're in a relationship, and obviously through that they actually end up being in a relationship because they grow to know more about each other and realize that their prejudice against each other is like not real. I Like Your Pheromones is a Omegaverse book, but I really like this world because the rules and consent are really in place, and from my memory I think our main character turns into an Omegaverse, like he transitions I guess, but then he doesn't like the smell of other people's pheromones. Besides our main lead, his pheromones I guess are the only thing that kind of comforts him. And then beyond that outline is about this delinquent student, and then we have this, you know, studious top of the class student, and then one day they swap bodies, and obviously they have to pretend to be each other, but it's hard because they're completely different characters. The last two books that I'm going to be talking about I place in the miscellaneous section. The first one we have is Guardian Zen Hun, which I actually have the first volume. In this book we have this city, I guess, and it's like this police precinct where they investigate demons and hunt them down. So obviously we have humans who aren't able to see these demons, and then in this police force we have a main character who is human who is able to see these demons, but then we have other people working with him who are ghosts or kind of similar-ish creatures. And then we also have Shenwei, who is a university professor. They kind of get intertwined and obviously they form a relationship through that. And then the last one I read was Little Mushroom, which I love this danmei book so much. I definitely recommend it. It's this sci-fi, a post-apocalyptic world where we have a little mushroom who I guess mutates into a human, and he goes to the human cities because he needs to find his spore. And then we have Lufen, who is the Arbeiter. I think that's how you pronounce it. But basically in this world there are monsters, and people, if they get bitten or scratched, they have the chance to mutate to one of these monsters. And when they go into the city they all have to line up to be judged if they may mutate or not. So Lufen's role is to, I guess, kill people if there is a sign of them mutating, and his accuracy is like 99.9% or something like that. So most of the time he's always right. However, people are upset with him, you know, because they're like, it feels like you're killing people like discriminately. I really like how it talked about morality and humanity and trying to save humanity, but at the same time you kind of have to do devastating things like this. It's only 2 volumes and it's really interesting to read, so I definitely recommend. Now going through the books I want to read, I don't know what half of these books are about. I just want to read them because either I heard someone else talk about them, or the covers are pretty, or they were just like in a list of recommendations. So I'm just going to go through it really quickly. First we have Fake Slackers and Wait For Me After School, which I'm pretty sure is like modern daytime school kind of danmeis. We then have Silent Reading, Chen Fen Du Jian, Remnants of Filth, Peach Blossom Debt, The Disabled Tyrant, Beloved Pet Fish, which I'm really interested about this one. What is this book even about? Because the title is just like so interesting. So I'm very curious to see what this book is about, and I think it's gonna probably be the next danmei that I read. We then have Stars of Chaos, Peerless, Case File Compendium, Nanchan, Golden Terrace, Legend of Exorcism, You've Got Mail, Din Hai Fushan Records, Global Examination, Rune Wild, Sai, and Joyful Reunion. I ended up running out of storage to do the outro, but this is basically all the danmei books that I've read and books that I want to get through. So if you guys have any other recs, let me know. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and all that jazz, and I will see you guys in another one. Bye!